Hello everybody, this is Cheri at djsundry.blogspot.com, and I want to share a Filofax update. We're getting down to the time where we get to the end of the year, and it's time to start thinking about how we're going to do things next year, if we're going to change things, if we're going to keep them the same. And I am not going to spend a lot of time going through my planner layout. I'll do it quickly. And then I'll share the changes that I'm making in preparation for next year. And then I specifically had a request to do a follow-up video as time progressed to see if the ideas that I presented a couple of months ago for the college planning of it was working. And so I want to update that as well. So let's just jump right in. In case you're not familiar with this, I have an A5 original Filofax, and this is the purple color, of course, because I'm a purple girl, and I love this. I've really not changed anything on the inside except for my pen, and then I've moved these stickers to inside the flyleaf because they were getting pretty thrashed on the outside of the flyleaf. So I've added those. That's really all I've changed there. Now, I purchased from Filofax or from Pens and Leather or from somewhere last year this spread. This is a 2014 horizontal planner, and you will see that I don't have a lot of writing on it. You'll see some faint pencil marks. I don't know how well the camera's picking it up. I use this more as a reference than anything. The W's on all of it, it kind of outlined my work schedule for the whole year, and I had to go back and change it because my schedule changed. But so I did it in pencil so that I could do that very easily, just in case that would happen. But the reason it does that is because I have a rotating schedule at work, but it's pretty fixed unless there's a holiday or I agree to a change. And so since it's pretty fixed, this allows me at a glance to see kind of where I'm going to be on any particular day throughout the whole year. So this year I was trying not to order anything, and so I was able to find one that I could print myself. Now, if you are in a different country besides the United States, this one I printed from Filofax, and I'll put the link down below for it. And this just fits one of our standard typing paper or copy paper. And it's all on one page. So the squares aren't huge. You wouldn't be able to add a lot to it. I could go in and add my birth dates. I haven't put my I shouldn't say my work calendar, but my what I think would be my work calendar. I haven't put that in there yet, just in case some things changes. And I'm not into that much planning for next year yet. I'll wait until closer to maybe even into January before I start doing that. Definitely probably not before the end of December. Just give me a little bit of time. There's no hurry on that for me. Last year I used these calendar inserts, which I had purchased from Etsy. Now, I'm not going to put the link down below because the year's almost over. There's only, November, what's left in November and December in it, and I've not been able to find the exact one of these for next year. So if you're looking for something for next year, just Etsy's a great place to start. Filofax can start. The difficulty that I had is I have a little bit of problem with computer. It challenges me a little bit. And my husband printed these all up for me last year. And there was a lot of making sure things were in the right order to be able to do that. And I didn't start using this until July. This year I went on Etsy and found one. Since I couldn't find this exact one, I found one that was comparable. And then when my husband went to print it, he was having all sorts of problems because it was sized for A4 paper instead of our standard American paper, and he was just having trouble for it, and he said, I could make you one easier. So this year's calendar my husband made me. But I want to share with you how this is working. Now, this is in there. I moved this. I opened up the rings and moved this month to month. I did not make it so I could just pull it out on purpose. I didn't want to lose it, and you only move it once a month, so it's not a big deal. Now, I've covered up some of the things in here, but I will have to say that this is my go-to calendar. This one, and then I have one that's comparable in my wallet, which is a Pocket Malden. And those two, no matter where I am, I usually have one or the other of those. Definitely if I'm outside of the house, I have my wallet. Most of the time, I would say 75% of the time, I also have this one. if I'm just running errands, I won't necessarily bring this one. And so if somebody says, hey, can we meet at such and such date, I just jot it quickly in my month on 2 pages calendar, and then I make sure it's in both calendars so that I can go back and forth. I have it color coded, as you can see on the side, by family member and by task. So for me, Cheri, Daniel, Lisa, Heath, that's my family. We each have our own color. And then I've added close to my heart, school, work, and family, so that I can bring it all into one calendar and it's right there. I don't put a lot of extra information on here. Usually it's just the description and maybe the time. If there's one that I need to know the place, most likely it will go in my weekly calendar, not so much in my monthly calendar. So we're winding up the end of the year, so I have the next year's calendar. Now, my husband, when he got this all designed, he said, unfortunately, you'll have a blank front and a blank back. And I said, oh no, that's not unfortunate. I like a blank front and a blank back because I can decorate the front to be what I want, which I have done here. As you can see, these are from 3 Bugs and a Rugs. They're sticker. This is some Timholtz washi tape. And I've got Timholtz Distress ink in here in tea dye, antique linen, and dusty Concord. And then I have I use these Timholtz reinforcers, which I'll show you in a minute. And then this stamp set is an older stamp set from close to my heart. It was actually stamp of the month. It's called Circus Alphabet. So the only way you can really get that is if you can happen to find it used, because it's no longer available new. So I stamped Joy because last year was the first year I'd ever chosen, or this year, 2014, was the first year I'd ever chosen a word of the year. And that word was calm. And this year, my word of the year is going to be joy. I want to really focus on finding joy. Not happiness, but joy. That could be a whole blog post or a whole YouTube video in and of itself on the difference of those, so we're not going to go there. So I've put in like a definition of joy that I just hand wrote in. I've chosen a verse that will be like my verse of the year, my scripture verse of the year, which in this case is John 15:11. It says, these things I have spoken to you, that my joy may remain in you and that your joy may be full. Those were words of Jesus's that he was giving. And so I just stamped out the word joy using that alphabet, some lighter, some darker. This one I kind of colored in using the Dusty Concord marker, and then I went on. Now the back of that is also blank, and then I ended up somehow with an extra half sheet. Well, because it would have been the other half. So what I did is I kept those in there, and then I may use those for things like goal setting or long-term plans or just notes to myself. I haven't quite decided yet on that. So when we look at the calendar, and the reason I had to do this is because, as you can see, my calendar's already starting to get appointments on it. And the previous calendar back here, I used washi tape. And that's because when I printed those up, I put the strip of washi tape on either side, and then I used a crocodile to individually go through and punch each hole. I could usually do 2 or 3 sheets at a time as long as I didn't let them slip, but it was quite laborious. So I eventually purchased this Filofax A5 punch, and I love it for something quick and easy. However, it's not heavy duty. You can basically punch 1 sheet of paper at a time, and if it's too thick a paper, you're not going to get through it. And I was afraid I wasn't going to get through it with the washi tape, so that's where I pulled these Timholtz Forcers. But they're a little bit thicker than washi tape. And so what I did is I just put them on one side of the paper. So on this paper I put them, and I always put them so that either both pieces have it or both pieces don't. So this one I put it where you get to the back side. I did not put it. Go to the next page and I put it just to give that little extra reinforcement, because like I said, this is my go-to calendar and I am looking at this several times a week typically, and so I needed to have it stay strong. And then I will add my own decorations. Of course, I'll add my my color coding back in here on the sides. I haven't done it yet. There's a couple reasons. One reason is just in case I decide to change colors. I may change things up a little bit just for some variety. Then I didn't want to already be locked into one. The other reason that I haven't is because I'm hoping for some more pins. I sent a little wish list to my husband for Christmas. I really, let me pull this one out. That one doesn't go. I really love these friction pins. They're erasable pins. So let me grab a piece of paper here. If you haven't seen these, and I know there's reviews for them on YouTube, but you can write on them, and then it uses friction to erase. Apparently, if it's quite cold, it will come back. I haven't taken it. That hasn't been a problem for me. I don't live where it gets that cold. It gets cold, but not cold enough. I suppose if I left it in my car in the dead of winter, then it might get that cold. But for the most part, it's not a problem for me. So I love these pens. This is the 7 set. I started with a set of 3 to see if I would like them, and I just got those at my local home Office Depot or something like that. These I picked up on Amazon, and I have the .07 and I have the clicker ones. And the reason I have them is because that's just my preference in pens. I don't like to deal with a cap. Now you'll notice that the little erasing part, it's not really a true eraser like what you think of as a kid having on the top of their pencil. It just creates friction to erase the ink. But it's color coded to match. I have noticed when I've looked at when I sent my wish list to my husband, I noticed that some of them have all clear erasers on the top, and I think that those are the ones that are the .05. I like the .07 because I like the size of writing that it gives me, and I don't have an orange, and I needed more than 7 colors. I actually needed 8 or 9 I actually needed 8 colors, and so I have this old 4A pen, but the 10-pack has an orange one in it, so I'm hoping for that because I really do use them and erase it, and they're great pens. So that's just a side note. Now as we go through here, I'm just going to pull this up just so I can look at it really quick. So this one's okay. So we went on a trip. This is my vacation days, and this is the way I was doing my weekly family planning and my personal planning. And I would decorate it with some washi. Every once in a while I'll put either scripture verse or quote or something I like on the side. And I was starting to put my assignments and schoolwork here until it got really overwhelming. If you've seen my previous videos, you'll remember or may know that I went and added a whole, I printed this up a second time, and I keep a completely separate one for school. Now this is working okay. You'll see that these don't have at the top, most of them don't have headers. That's because I fill them in as I go to meet my needs. The reason this is not working for me is not because it's not a great layout. This is the layout I prefer. That part of it is working amazingly for me. What's not working for me is just that I'm not using it amply. As I find that I'm getting towards the end of my school year, all of my semester, more and more of my focus is going into that, and I have less time to do a lot of planning and stuff. So I don't want to get rid of it because I will eventually use it, but I do have to be careful, and I still try to keep, like, you'll see here, I have a grocery list and my meal planning when I'm doing good with that. And then if I'm jotting down appointments, I know this one will say where we were because we were in South Carolina on vacation. And so those kind of things were in there. If I have an appointment like this one here, I had my hair appointment last week and I haven't even moved this over for this week. This does move, and you can see how little I am putting in here right now. In fact, this week has nothing in it because I haven't even put a grocery list in there this week yet. So I keep these and they just move from page to page. If it's something like my hair appointment, I go to the same hair place that I always go, so I didn't need the address. But if there is something that I need an address or extra information, like information I need to take with me to that appointment or whatever, I'll go ahead and put it in here. Pretty appointment free week this week. So then just to quickly run through, I have divided the back part up in different things. I have my home, I have my school, I have my work, my close to my heart, my quotes. My last is just where I keep all the extra paper so I can move it forward. And then I have another zipper pocket here that I keep extra page holders and flags and stuff in. So the next thing I want to talk about is my work calendar. This is pretty full. I'm just going to pull it up here. It's pretty full because I had added some things. I was doing some brainstorming and had added a bunch of stuff in here. Added some type things that I put in. And a lot of this is going to come out At the end of the year, I'll sort through it, pull out what I don't need anymore. If I find that it's not something that I'll need to reference back to, and I'll just tie it up and put it in my box with my calendars. But what I'm finding is, depending on what appointments I have, it seems like I keep, I add things at work. And I'm finding that this is great for what I'm doing right now, but as I add more and more things, it's probably not going to be sufficient, and I do not have room to add another calendar in here. So I'm just kind of waiting over the next month or so to see if it will be more feasible for me to get a separate calendar for this section. If so, I may or may not continue to keep stuff like this in here that is kind of stuff that's kind of ongoing, or if I'll keep it all in the new calendar. This, because I take it back and forth to work and school and home and everything I do. I even take this to church. Because I have it there, I may want to keep some of this kind of stuff in it so that at home I can quickly reference it, and then just keep my other calendar for work stuff. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that all out, because like I said, it's really kind of getting to be a lot to keep in here. And it may not continue that way. It just is kind of up in the air right now. So one of the parts that go along with that then is what I'm going to use. And I don't really want to get another Filofax, and I've seen some great planners that I really look that if I choose to add, I've looked at some, and I've looked closely at 3 different ones. One is the Erin Condren Life Planner. If you haven't seen that, all you have to do is put Erin Condren Life Planner in the description box on YouTube, and lots of people have bought them and loved them. I don't think that's the one I'm going to go with. There's another one that I just found late last week or early this week. It's called the Passion Planner, and it's relatively inexpensive. It's only, I think for a big one, it's like $25. They've sold out of their current stock, and they aren't going to be coming in until January for more. And it's a very basic, as far as there's not a lot of fluff and frills to it, but it's a great planner. And if you are really into planning and lifescaping and stuff, that's a perfect planner. I'm looking at a different one, and I can't remember the name of it. I'll put the link down below, and that's probably the one I'll get if I need it. The last thing I want to share, though, is what really is working very super well for me, and this is the one that I had to comment on, and that someone requested that if I change things and to update them and how it was going. So this is my school calendar, and I'm using it a lot. These just pop out. I use them every week. I move them to where I'm going. Now you'll notice that this is this week's calendar. And I sat down, got everything on it. And the first thing that I do is I put on the basics. It's always there. I check the instructor blogs. I've done all that. Then you'll notice that I've got my classes divided by class. And then I've got them all color-coded, which I have my little color-coding guide here to match that. And you'll notice that when you look at this, if you look closely, all these little boxes, some of them are filled in, some of them are not. The ones that are not are ones that I did not get things done in. So the first thing I did when I sat down to fill out this week's calendar, after I put in the instructor blog, then I filled out all of the things that I did not get done. And those are mostly, honestly, just reading or long-term projects that you were supposed to be working on over several weeks. So of course they weren't expected to be done. I'd be doing better if some of them were even started, but that's a whole nother story. So I put those things in. And then I go back in and add what is to be added this week. So some of these are things, some of these were already in here because they were things that I had put in months ago. Things that were due on particular dates, those are already in here. And then a lot of this is just reading and that kind of stuff. And that has worked really well for me. So I move over, because at first what I was doing is I would say, you know, like see last week's readings if I hadn't. And then I was finding, did I read that or did I not read that? Because maybe I forgot to mark it off and it was not working well for me. So by moving it over week after week, things that weren't done, then I'm consolidating the things that are done and getting rid of those, but I'm making sure that I'm keeping on top and getting the things done that need to be getting done. So this has worked really well for me. I highly recommend this method, but you need to do what works well for you. So I hope you found that helpful. Again, these were inserts that I purchased on Etsy, and I did not find ones for this year. My husband's actually wonderfully making me new ones for that. They won't be all colorful. Any color that I add, I'll have to add my own thing in. But his boxes are a bit bigger, so I'll even have a little bit more room to do writing in them, which is I found to be very helpful. So I hope you find that something that you can use. And thanks so much for putting up with this long video. And remember, take some time to enjoy the little things. Have a great day. Bye.